right, guys, welcome back. Matt and Brock here for another episode of JockTalk. Brock, how we doing today?
Great, another great day.
Absolutely. Before we get started, just want to give you guys a reminder. Give us a follow on Facebook at .com/JockTalk Show. On Twitter, you can follow our new page at JockTalk Show, and then give us a follow. Subscribe on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're available. So we got another NBA show coming for you guys as we're recording August 13th. A couple games left in the NBA season. I don't know about you, Brock, but the bubble NBA has been, for me, some of the best games I've seen all year.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that going in. It's like, well, these teams are good. Yeah, there's a couple okay teams in there, but
and there's a couple of Washington Wizards teams. So
yeah, surprising teams, surprising players. I mean, it's been quality basketball, pretty much top to bottom. Almost every game is competitive enough for the most part, but it has been fun basketball. And I mean, maybe it's just because we haven't seen sports in 3 months, but
right.
I think it's been really, really good basketball.
Yeah, I mean, even with some of the teams, just the one thing we haven't heard much of during the bubble is people complaining about players taking breaks on days off. I don't think I've heard any of that. Even when, the Clippers are resting PG, Kawhi, when the Bucks are resting Chris Middleton, Giannis, Eric Bledsoe, it still seems even the B team and the C teams have been competitive games, which has been nice to see. So you mentioned surprising teams. We'll hit on that in a little bit. We have our surprising teams and players, people who have surprised us positively, some of the disappointments in the bubble as it's coming to a wrap. We'll talk about our bubble MVP. We'll go through the all-bubble team. And then something new for you guys, we have our top 5, which you can listen to in a little bit. Today it's going to be top 5 NBA jerseys of all time. Brock's got Dame Time in Portland behind him. If that's going to make the list, you'll just have to listen and see.
We'll have to see.
Absolutely. And then wrapping it out today, obviously, we're going to have my favorite segment. I'll drink to that. Repping the Miller Lite. Attaboy, Brock, proud of you. But to kick it off, let's just go right into our surprising teams and players, Brock.
Everybody's surprising team is the Phoenix Suns. They're now 8-0 in the bubble. Who would have thought coming into the bubble Phoenix would be 8-0? Not me. Not
Vegas gave them 0.3% chance of being 8-0 in the bubble. It's 0.3%.
Yeah, like if I'm a betting man, I did not take that bet. But I will tell you what, that team has played out of its mind. They played really well, top to bottom. Like Devin Booker's hit huge shots over Paul George and Kawhi to win that game. But just they've played really good basketball, and that's one thing that we said. It's just really good to see competitive basketball even from the bottom feeders.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton's looked really good for them. Role players, Ricky Rubio's, you know what to expect from Ricky Rubio. He's going to play decent defense. He's going to pass the ball. He's going to take open shots. He's just going to be kind of that floor general for Phoenix. So another surprising team. You had Phoenix on the positive side of things. For me, we look at the negative side of things. Again, I think most people are going to agree it's probably one of 2 teams here. I'll take Memphis, and you can take the other if you'd like. But Memphis, yes, they had a difficult schedule. Yes, they lost Jaren Jackson Jr., but for them to be in the final day of the bubble and be in a win or go home situation is not something that a lot of people predicted. They could still finish 11th in the West, or they could still finish up with a 9 seed to go up against Portland. So for me, I think the Grizzlies have been one of the more disappointing teams in the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thought it was Memphis's A spot to lose. They were riding high, but obviously this whole quarantine and everything kind of messed a lot of things up. And then, like you said, injuries. But my surprising, like, negative side is the Pelicans. They're not veterans, but they're experienced. They have experience under their belt. You have Brandon Ingram, who is in the running for most improved. Lonzo, he's a good distributor of the ball. You expect Zion to show up, but some kept getting hurt. I mean, we called it when the season started. Can that body hold up with 300 pounds jumping like he does and coming down on those knees? It's not. He has to lose weight. He has to lose weight. And that team had so much like firepower and this excitement behind it, and them to just fizzle out the way they did and just kind of ruin JJ Redick's perfect streak of making the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
It was sad to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned JJ Redick, you had Drew Holiday, Derek Favors on the team. So, they had a really good balance of youth and experience. And, when the bubble schedule first came out, that's what everybody was saying is, the NBA is just trying to get Zion into the 8 seed to see that Zion versus LeBron matchup in the first round potentially. But, they just, there's no other way to say it other than they flamed. Kind of simple as that. My other surprising team from a positive standpoint we'll hit on the Brooklyn Nets. There's so many players out. Obviously KD, Kyrie, but then you go, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan. Just they're down 6, 7, 8 players, and they still managed to come out of the bubble while get to that 8 seed. They jumped Orlando for the 8 seed, so they get to avoid the Bucks in the first round. I think they match up, not great with Toronto, obviously, because of all the injuries, but it's one of those surprising teams where they could have easily came in, done absolutely nothing, and could have been a 4-game sweep for the Bucks in the first round. So a lot of kudos out there for Brooklyn for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they had people step up. Joe Harris played very well. Karis LeVert, just you name it, someone stepped up. It seemed every night for them, and they played competitive basketball. I mean, they were my team that was kind of like they might fizzle out, like they might lose 6 games and be out of there. But luckily for them, Wizards were a lot worse, and they played good basketball. So they jumped over the Magic. It worked out for them, and I think they have a chance against Toronto. I mean, the one thing that Toronto always leaned on in the playoffs was their home court advantage, and now it's not there. But I'm not taking anything away from Toronto. They're a good basketball team, top to bottom. They're deep, they're experienced, they're the champions for a reason, and they're going back to defend their title. I think they're going to be hungry.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's going to be the playoffs are going to be fun. I mean, every team has been competitive. They've seen each other for the last 2.5 weeks. They've seen a lot of basketball being played just next to each other. I mean, during a regular NBA season, you're playing the Hornets, then you're going to play Golden State, then you go play Phoenix, and you see different teams random times, but you've seen the same teams for the last 2 weeks. So you kind of get to know them, and you kind of get to have even just a little bit of a rivalry just in this bubble. I mean, you look at the Heat and the Pacers. Yes, they've had a little more of a history, but they're going at it now, and now they have the potential to play like 9 of 10 games against each other, but not anymore. But it's still something to see. And I mean, it's like we said, the playoffs are going to be fun. I think
for sure,
especially with that play-in game, it's going to be real fun.
Yeah, so you mentioned it as we're recording this right now. The play-in game or the play-in series is still up in the air as to who it's going to be. The Blazers, if they win, are going to be the 8 seed. If they lose, they are out, and Phoenix gets the 9 seed, and the Grizzlies get the 8 seed. So with that being said, like I said, we're waiting to hear from how the Portland games ends up. So a player on Portland who's been the surprise player in a positive sense for me. You could go some of the obvious ones, Damian Lillard, but no, I'm gonna go Gary Trent Jr.
Yep.
He's shooting lights out in the bubble. He's shooting over 52% from three. He's averaging over 17 points a game. It's one of those things where that's between Portland getting their bigs back and Zach Collins and Yusuf Nurkic, and Gary Trent just being that sidekick or that trio of at the guard spot along with Dame and CJ. Is just the player that the Blazers needed to step up.
Yeah, exactly. Gary Trent's a great surprise player. I mean, we could wait from just the chalk picks here.
Yep.
On JockTalk, but
anybody could give you chalk.
Yeah, like I could say T.J. Warren. Anybody could. Everybody's going to. I'll say Karis LeVert though. I mean, yes, it is a more popular pick, but I feel like Karis LeVert averaging 22.6 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Like we talked about earlier, he doesn't have his all-stars. Yep. He doesn't have Kyrie. He doesn't have KD. He doesn't have DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie.
They barely have his replacement level players, much less all-stars.
Yeah. So I mean, him to put up those numbers and win, it's impressive. I mean, for him to step up and be a leader, I think really shows how deep that Nets team is. And next year, when they have everybody back, that team. Are they competing with the Bucks for the number 1 seed? Yeah, probably. I would. Yeah, KD and Kyrie, and then you add all those other pieces. I mean,
we'll have to save that for a discussion for another show, I suppose.
I mean, maybe you're just a little bit more of a homer towards the Bucks, but that Nets team, when healthy, I mean, it's gonna stack right up there with the top tier teams in this league.
On paper.
On paper, KD, Kyrie, yeah. If they play well together, they haven't played together. But
chemistry, we'll see.
We'll see. So they'll have a whole another year to have their chemistry. They've been doing all their conspiracy stuff right now, so I guess they're probably getting real close and being in Brooklyn or wherever they're hanging out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we've picked on the Pelicans already. You've picked on the Pelicans at least. Negative players from the bubble. A report came out today that multiple sources were saying, Lonzo from the beginning just looked like he was checked out. Looked like he didn't want to be there for whatever the reason. Just not a good bubble. Zion, I know you don't put a lot of stock into plus minus as a stat, but Zion had the second worst plus minus in the bubble. Whether if it's his fault for being just not conditioned right, or whether if it's the coaches or the general manager for just not giving him his minutes. He played 20 minutes a game. Yes, he averaged about 18 and a half, 19 points a game, but we were expecting so much more. So again, whether if it's just from his lack of conditioning or the coach on up just refusing to risk the future to get a potential 8 seed berth, it's up to them. It's an investment for the Pelicans, so they must have had reasoning behind it, and I guess we'll see how that works out for them for next year and the years to come. But who do you got as your disappointing players in the bubble?
This is coming from me, and who I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of LeBron, but he has been utterly disappointing in this bubble. We expected him. He has this long rest. He's gonna be ready. He's gonna be motivated. He's just been off. I mean, I haven't watched a whole game of his. I've watched bits and pieces, but it's just like he had a good game and a half, maybe 2, if you really want to do that. But I mean, he's not shooting well. He's scoring points. He's passing the ball. He's rebounding the ball, except the one game he had 1 rebound. But I mean, it doesn't look right. But I mean, we both know playoff LeBron will get turned on, and he has to turn it on now. I mean, he was mid-level player for these 8 games, and he can't be, especially how good the West is. I mean, whoever's in, is it Phoenix or whoever slides in there, as like Phoenix is hot. Damian Lillard's got that Mamba mentality right now. Like he's going for blood. So he's got to step up. He's been real disappointing.
Yeah, you mentioned, I mean, LeBron definitely has to turn it on. Coincidentally enough, playoffs are right around the corner, so he's going to be turning it on, but he's going to be turning his social media off. So hopefully we'll get this uploaded in time for LeBron to see it. That way we know when he balls out in the first round, the rest of the playoffs, who he has to thank.
All right.
A little bit of
Brock James, 24.
There you go.
Little plug.
Yeah. So we mentioned surprising players. We mentioned disappointing players and teams. All bubble MVP. You can make a case for 3 or 4 or 5 players possibly. I have a top 2. But I don't know if Phoenix makes it in, how you can disagree with Devin Booker being the bubble MVP.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, but I mean, yeah, they're 8-0 now. He's averaging 31 points. You can't deny it. He's hit big shots. Again, they're 8-0. They reward winning in this league. If you win, you win awards. If you lose, you're not going to win the awards, or you might finish top 3 just because. But it's tough because I look at the numbers, and yeah, nothing away from Devin Booker and all of his stats. I mean, he's shooting 50% from the field, 34% from 3, 93 from the free throw line, average 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.3 blocks. There's great numbers over an 8-game stretch. Don't get me wrong. But if I've told you same exact points, 31 points, shooting 57% from the field, 52% from 3 on the same amount of 3-point attempts, 88% from free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal a game, and 1 block a game. You can't argue that it's not right there neck and neck. It's not. I don't think it's a runaway train for Devin Booker. I think TJ Warren has those same exact stats, 1 less game, but those percentages, 52% from 3, shooting 12 threes a game. It's ridiculous. When he averaged 17 before the bubble. I mean, Devin Booker. We knew this was Devin Booker. I'm gonna give the slight edge to TJ Warren, just because no one saw it coming. No one did. But nothing away from Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned TJ Warren. Obviously, like I said, there's 3 or 4 or 5 players that could be considered for bubble MVP. Damian Lillard, he's averaging 37, 5 boards, 9 assists. Luka has 3 triple doubles in the bubble. James Harden's doing typical James Harden things. Kawhi, Giannis, both averaging 25 plus, playing good defense, boards, assists. So it's not a runaway like you mentioned, but I think for me, if Phoenix somehow manages to get in, it has to be Devin Booker. If they don't, like I said, he did everything he could. 8-0. There's not really much, you can hope for other teams to lose, but he did everything in his power to carry his team. But we mentioned some of the players, so we have our all bubble NBA team. I know me and you both had a little bit of a different thought process behind it. Whether we wanted to go 1 through 5 in terms of picking a point guard, a 2 guard, a wing, and 2 bigs, or whether we just wanted to go with the top 5 best players. So with that being said, Brock, we know your MVP picks. We picked some of the guys who are in that bubble MVP consideration. So let's go through your all NBA starting 5 and 6th man.
Let's start in 5. Obviously, MVP is either D-Book or TJ Warren. I got them both in there. I think it's pretty obvious who these are. I mean, I made this list yesterday. ESPN experts came out. I had the same list. It's like, what? Who you gonna believe? Me or them? Me, of course. But Devin Booker, T.J. Warren, Dame Time, Giannis, Luka, and for me, the sixth man isn't necessarily had the best stats, promising for his young career. I picked Michael Porter Jr. from the Nuggets. I think his performance throughout this bubble has been very good for the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets have a very deep team. I feel like, but they also have a lot of their depth could be concerning because how are you going to pay all these players that are really good? I mean, Bull's been putting up good numbers. Michael Porter Jr., like they have a lot of positions and they're deep. So either they're going to trade him and he's going to be a star somewhere else, or that's your next star next to Jokic.
Don't have to worry about that when the time comes, I guess. But,
yeah, definitely.
So I mean, our top six are pretty similar. So for me, I went really small. I thought about it from a construction of an NBA roster. This team maybe not the best defensively, but good luck stopping them. So we got Luka at the one. Like you said, 3 triple doubles between him and Kristaps. Just been a dynamic duo in the bubble so far. We got James Harden at the 2. Again, as much as we may not like his style of play, you can't argue with the results. At the 3, we have Devin Booker. He's 6'6". Again, maybe not going to be the best defensive team around, but good luck stopping them in space. At the 4, we have T.J. Warren. At the 5, we're going Giannis. And coming off the bench, the 6th man, can't believe I'm saying that he's coming off the bench, but Damian Lillard coming off of the bench. So we got four 1 or 2 guards, depending on how you look at them. We got Giannis, who can play 1 through 5. And then we got T.J. Warren just for some instant scoring. We got a little bit of mid-range presence. And now, like you said, in the bubble, extending his game out to be a deadly 3-point shooter. So,
yep. I mean, shooting 52% is impressive. Even for him, it was a 6-game stretch, but still 6 games shooting 50%, shooting 12 3-pointers a game. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, him and the Phoenix Suns as a whole, he got off to that smoking hot start. And once you feel it from that first game, it just leads you on to all the other games. If he would have started off with a dud, who knows what this bubble would have been for more. If Phoenix was 0-1 at the beginning, who knows? They could have been the Washington Wizards of the West. So who knows? So with that being said, we're going to go on to a new segment. No Carlos Says for you guys today, unfortunately. But we do have the new segment. It is going to be the top 5. We are going to be doing this every single show. We'll be doing them separate from the show on Facebook, which, again, you can follow us, facebook.com/JockTalk Show, on Twitter @JockTalk Show, Instagram, jock.talk. We'll be posting these separately, just top 5 polls. We want to hear your top 5, your top 3. We do and get everything from random, top players of all time, best game day foods.
You name it, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
If there's something you want to see in top 5, let us know. Comment, tweet us, anything. We'll fit it in. We'll definitely fit it in.
Absolutely. Our top 5 is best jerseys, NBA, all time. Yep. So Brock, we'll do it this way. You go 1, I'll go 1, and we'll take it down the list.
My number 5 is going to come in the Electric Blue.
Yeah, going back to the days of Penny and Shaq.
Those blue with pinstripes or whatever that is. Oof. Those were just very nice jerseys. I would rock that jersey any day of the week.
Absolutely. You got Slim Shaq. Slim Shaq back in the day. So my number 5 It's not one of the sexier jerseys when you think about all-time best jerseys, but it's my homer pick. We got the green Milwaukee Bucks jersey with the purple deer. Ray Allen rocking number 34 before Giannis came in and stole it over. But just that bold enough for a team to have a big purple deer on the front of their jerseys. Just something about it just does something to me.
Yeah, I mean that's great. It's a different jersey. I like it. It's a very different jersey. It's not something you'll see every day. But my number 4 is the old school Jazz, the purple with the white mountain across the middle. Oh, there's something about them. I mean, they brought them back they wore them this year.
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell and them. I mean, it just brings back retro vibes, and it's just a very cool and just out there. It's another out there jersey. It's awesome. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. We got one of the most iconic duos of all time rocking them. Karl Malone, John Stockton. So
lost
not
a
only
lot of finals in that game.
Not only is it a good looking jersey, but it's probably one of the higher performing outside of the finals jerseys that you could find in the NBA. So my number 4 is old school Denver Nuggets jersey. They brought back kind of a remix of it this past year with the mountains. You guys, you'll see it if you watch on YouTube. We got the old Dikembe Mutombo rocking the jersey. It's just one of those classic throwbacks that the Nuggets realized they probably did wrong going away with it in the first place, so they're wearing it as alternates now a few times a year, which is always nice to see.
Yeah. My number 3, one of my favorite of all time. Clearly, it's in my top 3. The blackout Miami Heat jerseys. They were LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh coming out in those. Ray Allen. Oh man, those were nice. And then LeBron wore the black mask.
Oh yeah.
They were, that was like the revenge tour, and it was just an awesome jersey just to go watch them come out and just to terrorize people.
For sure. The ironic thing, or maybe irony is not the right word, but that was back in the day before Adidas lost the jersey sponsorships, where there were a lot of really bad jerseys. You had the short sleeved jerseys, you had the ugly terrible Christmas jerseys. So for that classic to come out of that period, just says, they finally got something right during that period of just ugly jerseys. But so my number 3 is a jersey that I personally owned as a child. Minnesota Timberwolves, all black, green tree trim. Black jerseys, they just look so clean. Just rocking the 21 Kevin Garnett jersey back in the day. It was just nice, crisp, clean jersey that it'll always stick with me. So that's my number 3.
Yeah, my top 2 there. It was tough. It was really tough. They're interchangeable for me, but I went with it. I'm sticking with it. Number 2 for me is the old school Vancouver Grizzlies, and that thing. Oh, that grizzly bear on the shorts, the big Vancouver and the teal. Oh my God, that was the great jersey. I love that they brought it back this year. Love it. And when they played Utah in the bubble, they wore their purple, and then they wore their teal. I was like, that's what I want to see. That's what it was great. It was awesome.
Yep. So number 2 for me is the Phoenix Suns. Their alternate black jerseys from the early 90s. Get the big sun going across the side, or across the front, excuse me. Just Charles Barkley rocking it. Phoenix, for me, has some of the best jersey period in the NBA currently. That purple and that orange just look so good together for me. But again, the black main part of the jersey, just clean, crisp. So for me, that Phoenix jersey at number 2 is right where it belongs.
Yeah. I mean, it's not on my list. Not even close.
And that's something we tried to do here. Is we tried not to have any of the same top 5 here. We could easily pick some of the same ones. So we tried to mix up for you guys.
Yeah, like that Timberwolves jersey that could have cracked the top five or even been in my honorable mention because that is the trees, the Timberwolves. That's awesome jersey. But for my number
Number
one
one.
jersey is the white Toronto Raptor jerseys. Those things. I mean, you could have went any color with those ones. I mean, even the OVO jerseys with the gold Raptor on there. Those are not. Toronto's got probably one of the greatest old school jerseys of all time. Purple Raptor, red Raptor, white
Yep.
Raptor, gold Raptor. If they need to keep that Raptor on their jerseys, it is iconic. It is fierce. It is clean, crispy. Anything that is easily, even the Vince Carter, the Tracy McGrady jersey.
Yep.
Oh my God, I don't know if you can beat that.
Yeah, that original white Dino jersey,
Oh,
it is it is definitely hard to beat. But my number one, another jersey that features an animal or creature of some sort, just bold on the front. We got I believe mid '90s is when they would have rocked them, but the Detroit Pistons teal jerseys, just Grant Hill, number 33, rocking it with that big piston coming out of the front, the nice teal. It's just one of those where, again, it's one of those off colors. It's not the clean, crisp black that I like, but it's just one of those colors that you may not see it a lot. So the kind of the rarity or the non-popularity of it for me just pushes it up all the way to number
definitely.
one for me.
I mean, you and me talk all the time. We love our jerseys. We'll definitely be doing another top five of jersey. We always talk who's got the best college football jerseys. I
Oh,
mean, those are tough to beat. Those, I mean, you could go any which way, but I guarantee we will do another top five jerseys. If you like this top five, like this video, subscribe. We'll be back with plenty more top fives.
for sure. Send us your collection. You can see, like I said, me and Brock got them hanging them back off the cameras. We got 3, 4, 5 more jerseys just laying around, ready to go. So send us your collections. Comment on Facebook. Uh, send a reply on Twitter. Let's see your collections.
Yeah, definitely.
But with that being said, Brock, we take it to the final segment. Near and dear to our hearts.
Near and dear to our hearts.
I see what you did there.
Oh, dad
We got
jokes.
we got I'll drink to that. Again, for some of you guys who may not have listened, that's where me and Brock kind of give our hot takes. We give our predictions on what may happen. They're not necessarily going to be popular. They're not necessarily going to be easy. If we agree, we'll drink to that. If we don't agree, we'll drink to it anyways. It's what we do. So
We'll drink to forget what you said.
that's right. That's right. We don't always agree with each other. I think it's a little bit better when we don't agree with each other. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
hear a bunch of yes men just going back and forth on the mic the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, my I'll drink to that is going to be a reiteration of what I said during our first NBA episode, which you can find on the YouTube machine. So
Spotify.
with that being said, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you listen, my I'll drink to that was contingent upon the first round matchups staying the same as what they were pre-bubble, which in the West they did. Again, we talked about Luka. We talked about Kristaps, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith having a good bubble.
Bobby.
Boban, 20 rebounds today.
He's so big. That man is so big.
Yes, he is. The Dallas Mavericks will beat the Los Angeles Clippers and move on to the second round of the playoffs. Not gonna take it easy. Not saying no, they'll take them to 7. Nope.
Oh, come on.
Straight up win. The Dallas Mavericks move on to the second round of the playoffs.
I want to know how many games. How many games are they gonna play?
It's going 6. It's going 6. Clippers
Oh.
don't even take it to game 7.
I'll drink to that.
Let's
drink
go.
to that. I like it. Do I think it'll happen? I don't know, but I like it.
they're playing well right now. You know,
They are.
they're not Phoenix Suns. They're not 8-0 in the bubble, but you know they beat the Bucks. Luka's shown that he can turn it up when he needs to. Kristaps he's shooting the ball so well.
Yeah,
He's so
Kristaps.
smooth for being 8'11".
Yeah, Porzingis is. Did you know he's averaging 30 points a game?
Yep.
I mean, you did, but I mean, he's averaging 30 points a game. I was like, wow, okay.
Yep.
It's so quiet, 30 points because everything's about Luka. I mean, and rightfully so, because I mean,
Yep.
19 assists and 14 rebounds and 30 plus points it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I love that pick. I'll drink to that. Kind of did this on the fly. As we know, Russell Westbrook could be out the whole first series. It's against the Thunder. Revenge for Chris Paul? I'll go. Thunder win in 5.
Hey, I'll drink
5.
to that. Let's go.
Mark it down.
That's
Mark it
bold.
down.
In 5.
It's bold. Because injuries and James Harden and Thunder are just so fundamentally sound. Like, again, beginning of the year, the Thunder were given a 0.2% or 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. Here they are at what, 5? Is it the 5 seed or the 4 seed? Either
I believe
or.
they
5?
It's a 5-4 matchup. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah, that's all I know. But still, that they're in the playoffs and they're a 4 or 5 seed. Don't sleep on them. Chris Paul, veteran, he wants to get revenge. Steven Adams is solid down low. What, they're gonna put PJ Tucker on him? If
I was just about to bring that up. So, PJ Tucker has fared good enough against some of the bigs. Against Brook Lopez, he stands his ground when he's being backed down. But
yeah,
Steven Adams may be the strongest man in the entire NBA. He's not the 7'3". He's not, but he is one brick wall of a man. And I can see him having a big series.
Yeah, I mean, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing well. I mean, you got that 6-man, Dennis Schroeder playing well. I mean, you got Danilo playing. That team is just playing well. Mike Muscala hit the game winner the other night. Mike Muscala. They got players to play. I think Chris Paul is that veteran experience. If he doesn't get hurt, please don't. I think it's an early exit for the Houston Rockets.
You mentioned that about Chris Paul, but I think that's one thing to keep an eye on is if he does get hurt, yes, it's a big blow, but it's not as big of a blow as what it's been in previous teams has been on. Just look at like you mentioned, they got Shai Gilgeous, they got Dennis Schroeder, two point guards or 2-guard combo guards who can pick up the slack. When he was in LA, who was their backup point guard? Nobody knows. Austin Rivers, who was their point guard, backup point guard last year in Houston? Probably Austin Rivers again. Whereas this year they got 2 point guards who are willing to and capable of stepping up. So, like we mentioned, I mentioned earlier, I may not like James Harden play style. He has this beef with Giannis going back. Deservedly so, and I think it makes it a little bit more fun. But glad to hear that you have the Rockets going down in the first round of the playoffs.
First round. Let's go.
All right, so that is going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. Once again, give us a follow on Twitter at JockTalk Show, on Facebook, comment, like, share, facebook.com/JockTalk Show. Follow, subscribe, like on YouTube. Again, keep an eye out on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, however you listen to your podcast. We will be available. That's about it. Brock, you got anything else?
I think we covered it all. I'm ready for the playoffs to start. When you guys are listening to this, the game will be over already. And at the end of one, the Blazers and the Nets tie ball game, 31-31. It's going to be fun to see.
Let's go. All right, guys. Thanks again. Follow, subscribe, like on all the social medias. We'll talk at you next time.
Peace.